Hey guys, welcome to this review of a 1994 Honda Civic. Hey Sophie. Sophie loves this car. This is a 1994 Honda Civic Hatchback DX. So this thing doesn't even have power steering. And it has 236,000 miles. That is quite a lot. And this car gets 40 miles to the gallon. This is a very sought after vehicle. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about this car because it is a very, very fun car. And this thing just loves to go around corners. You wouldn't think it just from like looking at it. Back in the day, I guess in 1994, people would get this as commuter vehicles because they got 35 to 40 miles to the gallon. Probably even more if you went easy on it. But nowadays, there's a whole different type of consumer that buys Honda Civics. And that is a younger demographic that like to soup it up and basically modify it. It's a modder's paradise because this car is very lightweight. But the people who are buying this car these days are not looking for practicality. They're looking for a car that's inexpensive and very fun. You can get these used for about $2,000 in the marketplace. And if you get one with like low miles and the body's in good shape, that's a very good platform to start modifying your car. This one is equipped with a very essential 5-speed. The 5-speed on this is fantastic. This car has got 236,000 miles and it really rides as if it's got 100,000 miles or essentially zero wear. The one thing about Honda that's really excellent is the fit and finish inside. Quite a bit of a nice design. Even when you shut the doors, it feels like a very substantial car. This is a 94. I mean, we're in 2019, almost 2020, and this car is still alive and kicking. Do you know any other American cars that are out and about? There's so many Honda Civics from the 90s, but there's very few hatchbacks that look like this out and about in the streets. Now the AC on this does not work at all, and it's kind of a downside, but this car was meant for people that were just commuting back and forth to work. So a lot of people went with cars that didn't have a lot of bells and whistles, which makes it a very sought after vehicle now because it's like less weight. You have the manual windows here, you have manual locks. Everything that could go wrong doesn't have anything to go wrong because this car is just the bare essentials. That's why this car is a very fundamental good car for car racing. Now just looking at the door, you have nothing on it. You have the lock and it's not even power locks, and then you have the handle, you have a little thing here. You don't have space to put stuff, and there's, look at this, there's not a lot of cushion here at all, but the quality of this rubber is soft. And I've seen this sort of thing in a lot of Hondas of this age. And look at this. This is how you adjust your mirrors. Like not even, power mirrors. A lot of people wonder why you should buy a car that basically has no power steering, no power windows, no power locks, no power mirrors. And the thing is, it's actually better because things will not go wrong. And for me, having this sort of thing, you don't have to replace the motors on these electric windows because it doesn't exist. And that is the beauty of having a very basic car, is that you don't have to fix stuff that doesn't exist. All the electronics tend to go bad, and I've seen a lot of electronics on Honda Accords go bad. The window motors stop working. There's a lot of things that go wrong with a car that's this old. 5-speed manuals are kind of a dying breed, but if you buy a very old used car, you should get a 5-speed, especially if it's a Honda. Honda automatic transmissions are terrible. They do go bad, and you're better off just getting this. So this thing will last the life of the car. And of course, the engine on the Hondas are excellent. You have your temperature gauge, and then you have some dummy lights here, dummy lights there, and then you have your speedometer right in the middle. And of course, this one has 236,000 miles. And then beneath you have your trip meter, your reset, and then to the right here you have your fuel gauge. The vents do not work, so a lot of the heating and AC is not working on this car. This is the AC unit, and I've never really been a fan of the units that they put in Hondas because they tend to break, the dials tend to break. And then you have your radio, which is like a really crappy radio. The one thing that I was surprised about this car, you have a up and down, all you can do is this, just like up and down for your steering wheel. Here's the cup holder. When you push down, look at that. It's just, there's so many moving parts to it. They over-engineer this because it's like too many parts here. You could have just put like a cup holder here and that would have been fine with most people. But Honda engineered this really kind of pretty way of showing the cup holders and hide it when you're not using it. You have a little ashtray or whatever. I think this is the ashtray, sorry. This is the ashtray, and this is some sort of like coin box. It says pocket on here. And then you have your cigarette lighter, and over here you have your glove box. You know, I was surprised that the seats are in such great shape. Now, with the exception of this, a great thing about Honda is that their cloth that they use for seats always wears very well over time. The one thing it's kind of odd about this is that this headpiece kind of like goes back too far. I don't know, it's just something I don't like, is this kind of weird shape to the seat. In the back of this little hatchback, you can see I have plenty of headroom. And it's surprisingly roomy. Now, you probably wouldn't want to take people here all the time, but you do have a lot of space. And one thing that's important to note is in this car, if you're going to use it as a commuter, it's got a lot of visibility. There's hardly any blind spots because these windows are so large. Like if you look back, this is a very large window, and the front window is really, really large. But back here is all just hard plastic. This is how you fold the seats forward. You also have, you know, seat belts, which is good. So there we go. In the back, you do have a lot of room. The one thing I do like about this car is that it opens up by two parts. So you have the windscreen, and that kind of like pops up, and then you don't even have to open this one. You can just put your groceries down here. You do have the added benefit of having this so nobody sees what you're carrying when you have this down. That makes it a little bit more private, and then you can remove it entirely if you want to have the seats forward and just use it for carrying capacity. And look at this. This is almost out of the Honda Element. A little tailgate. And this gives you a lot better reach into the back so you can access your cargo. This Honda in particular is that it's very easy to reach things that most people probably wouldn't really care, like your taillights and your signals. You can just reach them through there. So you can put your hoopty lights or whatever. Your shock mount is right over there. So one of the problems of this car is that the paint is fading, especially on the top. This was never garaged. So when you're talking about engines, this is a very popular engine for the Civic. But the engine is pretty darn quiet. That's the one thing I really like about Hondas. Their engine just lasts a very long time. There's no oil or fumes, or there's fumes coming out of the exhaust, but it's not making any noise. It's a pretty good system. So this is kind of a testament to Honda, that this is a 1994 Honda Civic Hatchback DX, and it's still on the road and it's still driving extremely well. It doesn't really feel like a used car at all. The only thing that it feels that it's used and old is the lack of technology, which for a lot of people that's a benefit. Well guys, thanks for watching this Honda Civic Hatchback DX review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. What are you doing, Sophie?